I guess he is. I mean, he's the first one to get a second interview, so I guess you have to view him as the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak. But I'm not really sure that. I think they're going to do their due diligence and interview probably, at least probably like 3 or 4 more other guys besides the ones they've already talked to and are scheduled to talk to before they make a decision. But I would guess is probably the favorite at this point, yeah.
With the situation with Bradford, Dave, does bringing a new coach in make the most sense, or do you think the more comfortable, the best way to go is to stay with Shermer and keep that quarterback-coach continuity, knowing that Bradford has had multiple coordinators before he even got to Philly?
Yeah, I've been saying this all along, that if I had to pick, I would take Shermer as my coach. Actually, David Shaw would be my first pick, but there's no way he's leaving Stanford, so – but Shermer would be my guy. Yeah, I think that comfort level that you spoke about makes a lot of sense. I don't think it can be underestimated. The fact that Bradford started to make some progress at the end of this season. He's comfortable with Shermer in the past, and you can't just keep changing coordinators and coaches and quarterbacks, and expect to establish any level of consistency. So I think you're right. I think that Shermer should be the guy, to be honest with you.
What about McDermott? A lot of people liked him because of the job he's done with Carolina. He was obviously here before and kind of got pushed out of here. How come no interest in McDermott so far?
That's a little surprising to me, to be honest with you. I thought the Eagles would reach out to him, and he seems to be interested in coming here. So I would think it would be worth, kicking the tires at least and getting a feel for, his philosophies and that kind of stuff. But like you mentioned, he had been fired here before. I think his brother got fired also by the Eagles. He now works for the Sixers organization, I think, in their public relations department maybe, or marketing. And so I don't know if he has like a real fond memories of his time with the Eagles. But, I think it'd be worth at least talking to him. And what can it hurt?
Yeah, and obviously they're going to bring in Ben McAdoo tomorrow. I don't know if he's anywhere on the list. I would assume same thing with the Giants. Yeah. He's with Eli. Why not just have McAdoo and Eli and keep that continuity? So do you realistically think McAdoo is a prime candidate, or is he just kind of a guy, hey, let me pick your brain because you're with the enemy?
Yeah, I don't see him as a serious candidate. I think it's probably Gase, Shermer, and – boy, I don't know. To be honest with you, I've said this before. I'm surprised that Greg Roman hasn't gotten any interest at all. I mean, I think he's paid his dues in the league. Mm-hmm. He seems to have been proven that he can work with me. He can make something out of quarterbacks. He did it with Kaepernick in San Francisco and with Tyrod Taylor this year. I would think that maybe that Roman-Kaepernick combination might be an interesting fit. But apparently, I guess he's not. People don't think he's ready yet.
All right, Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City. Dave, I didn't get to talk to you while I was out and Kelly got fired. Give me your overview of what went wrong, because in September, Laurie was talking about what kind of a leader this was. He's a culture builder. His door's always open. 6 months later, he's a culture ruiner. He's not a good communicator. I mean, what happened?
I think it was Kelly, the general manager, ruined Kelly, the coach. I think he got a little bit too power hungry, made some controversial moves that didn't pan out. And I think there would have been something to the fact that, Brandon Boykin and McCoy and even some other guys had mentioned that he's not the most approachable guy. And talking to some other guys in the locker room, they kind of skirted around it, but they kind of alluded to that he's not a warm and fuzzy guy by any means. And I think maybe it's just his arrogance got the better of him, to be honest with you. I think maybe he started to believe his own headlines, maybe got a little bit too cocky. It was always my way or the highway kind of thing with him. There wasn't any much flexibility. And when things started to go south, I think people started to look for reasons to get rid of him, and that's what happened.
A 7-9 team. Is this a 7-9 team that is attractive to a coach coming in, or is this a 7-9 team that's a mess for a coach coming in?
Talent-wise, atmosphere-wise, passion of the fans, I think it's pretty attractive. I can't help but wonder how people are regarding working with Howie Roseman again.
And is he locked in, Dave? Is he locked is he going to be the man pulling the trigger on draft day?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think that's one of the reasons why they were interviewing some of the guys they're interviewing, that they want guys who don't mind giving up that power, that don't want final say over personnel. I think that's going to be Howie's job now, and maybe that's one of the reasons why some of the candidates haven't been brought in for interviews.
Came out smelling like a rose, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure does, doesn't he? I mean, he's like the one guy who
he got like a paid 1 year vacation promotion, and now it's like, all right, come back to work.
Yeah. And I don't want to be like totally unfair to the guy. He did make some good picks when he was the general manager before, and
he drafted Fletcher Cox, right?
Yeah, he did. And I don't know if he drafted Lane Johnson or not. I mean, that was Chip
Kelly's
Kelly,
first
Howie,
year, right?
Combination. And Brandon Graham was certainly turned into a pretty good player. So I think he's made some good moves, but I think his personality's definitely rubs some people the wrong way too.
Dave, is Sam Bradford, in your opinion, a slam dunk to come back?
No, it depends on who the coach is. You know, if it's Shermer, then sure. But
he holds a lot of cards here, doesn't he?
He does, and I'm be the first one to admit that I was wrong about him. Wasn't so sure that he was going to be able to come back from his knee injuries, and he got off to such a lousy start in the year. I was really having my doubts, but he's shown everybody that he can be a franchise quarterback. And you're right, he does hold all the power here. I mean, he can certainly test the market. They can always franchise him if they want to, I guess. But
it's a lot of money.
If they don't, then he's going to have and he's going to have a lot of people interested if he gets into free agency.
All right, yeah, he has free agency up front of him. He can be franchised. He also can not want to be here because of who they hire as a coach. So I guess he has some say there. Yeah. The Eagles are in a real pickle with the future of Sam Bradford. I guess Chip Kelly threw that one in their lap as well on the way out the door. Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City, as the Eagles never a dull moment. We'll find out who the coach is, I'm assuming, here in the next week or so. Dave, appreciate the time as always, pal.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me.